this money or get what's behind door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Give a brother a hand. No. So, this is exactly what we do on an everyday basis. We are conditioned to take what we see. Because you know this is a for sure. I got this money. I don't know what's behind door number 1, 2, and 3. I'm conditioned to take what I see. Read that scripture again.
It says on verse 18,
Uh-huh.
while we look not at the things which are seen.
He saw the money. I know I can go get me a couple bags of chips. I can get a couple gallons of gas. Get some gas, right? He looked at this is what we conditioned to do. Read.
But at the things which are not seen, for the things which are seen are temporal.
It's temporary. Behind one of these doors could have been the key to eternal life. But these are the things that we don't consider. Give me a hand back. I just want to show you that. These are the things that we don't consider. Right? So we got to understand we can't just look at what we're going through and take this stuff for and make it more than it is. This stuff is temporary, but we got to fight through it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a greater, it's something greater on the other side. Right? Back to Romans 8. Yeah, finish that up.
It says, but the things which are not seen are eternal.
Are what?
Eternal.
Are eternal. Read. Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. Read that. Romans 8.
Romans 8 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
For we are saved by hope.
We are saved by hope.
But hope that is seen is not hope.
Mm-hmm.
For what a man seeth, why do he yet hope for?
Mm-hmm. Why you going? Well, if I see this in my face, what do I got to hope for? You get what I'm saying? A lot of people think that this is it. A lot of people that become atheists, they say, "Oh, this is it. Ain't nothing else after this." Right? So this is all they looking to. They ain't hoping for nothing because this is what I got in front of me. Right? We know that it's something that's more magnificent waiting on us if we just go through what we got to go through here, this light affliction. Right? Go ahead.
But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it.
Then through what?
Through patience wait for it.
So we got to wait for these things, right? Now, all of this was just the beginning. I just wanted to show y'all this, that it's always something greater that we got to look to. And the lesson that we getting ready to deal with is going to show you that we're not even looking to what's greater. We're not even paying attention. We're not considering what we actually going through. What's the Yolanda Adams song? What she say? This battle is not what? This battle ain't yours. You know, even though she in the Christian church, that statement is a true statement. Because it ain't ours, but we still got to fight it. Right? We still got to fight the battle. Right? Give me Exodus 23. Exodus 23, and pick it up at verse 20. I know I like to hit this scripture a lot because it's a lot that's in this scripture. It's a lot contained in this. So, you know, when I teach, if I bring this up again, it's because I love this scripture. Yep. 23 and 20.
Exodus chapter 23 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I send a Malachim before you to keep you in the way.
So, who know who this is? It's a Mashiach because he is the what?
The way.
And the what?
The road.
And the what? So he keeping us in the way, right? Go ahead.
Behold, I send a Malachim before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him.
Do what?
Beware of him.
Uh-huh.
Obey his voice.
Do what?
Obey his voice.
Uh-huh.
Provoke him not,
Uh-huh.
for he will not pardon your transgressions.
Uh-huh.
For my name is in him.
My what?
My name is in him.
His name is it? The Most High's name is in Hamashiach, right? And if his name is in Hamashiach and you have Hamashiach in you, who do you got inside of you? That's a beautiful thing. But that's only if we got him in us, right? In order for us to have him in him, we have to be what? When we talk about the house, you got to be what? Clean. You got to be clean. You got to be perfect. You can't commit no iniquity because he can't live in something that ain't clean. Read.
For my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak.
It says if you obey his voice and do all that he speak, what's going to happen?
Then I will be an enemy unto your enemies.
I'll be a what?
An enemy unto your enemies.
How many of us knew that? You knew that if you obey this man, do what he say, he going to be an enemy to your enemies. So every time you didn't obey him and something was trying to attack you, it prevailed because you didn't do what he said do. Read.
I will be an enemy unto your enemies and an adversary unto your adversaries.
I'll be an enemy to your enemy and an adversary to your adversary. This is the title of the lesson. An enemy unto your enemies. Right?
So the ultimate bully.
Exactly. 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 You ever had, I know y'all seen on TV, if you ain't never had it in real life, you had this big bully that was going around bullying people, and you got the little kid, he know he about to get bullied, so he go grab somebody that's bigger than him. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, I do whatever you need me to do. If he come over here, handle that for you. That's what this is. Hamashiach is bigger than any enemy that can approach you. But at the same time, you got to do something for him to be, you know what I'm saying, beat up the bully. All right? So let me, what does an enemy do? Anybody, what does an enemy do? Brother Mark, what does an enemy do?
Put fear in you.
They put fear in you. What else? Afflict you. What else? Steal from you. What else? Lie on you. What else? Huh? Oppose. Okay. Hate you. Kill you.
Break the commandments.
What all of these have in common is they're all sin. So if an enemy, like they say, he come to rob, kill, and destroy, right? If an enemy is doing these things, what is the leading thing behind this enemy? Sin. So if sin is an enemy, that means it got to be defeated. Let's get Romans 83. Now, if he's going to be an enemy to your enemies, that means that he's going to war for you, right? Hamashiach is our general, right? If he's our general, he is set to be a general because he went through things that deem him to be a general. He done been in battle before. He done been through all of these things for us to call him general, right? So if sin is an enemy that we need to fight, that means he need to have fought him already. Right? Read what you got.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 3. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the Most High sent his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh.
And he sent him in the likeness of sinful flesh. He sent him behind enemy lines. Right? And what did he do?
And for sin, condemned sin in the flesh.
He beat sin. He condemned it in the flesh. He our general because he went in the battlefield and fought sin and won. Y'all see that? What do sin bring on? Death, right? So that means he had beat that too, right? Romans 6 and verse 9.
Romans chapter 6 and verse 9.
Wages of sin is death, right? Okay, that's verse 23 of the same chapter, but let's see what verse 9 says.
Knowing that Hamashiach, being raised from the dead, dieth no more.
He do what?
He dieth no more.
Go ahead.
Death have no more dominion over him.
He beat death too. So if sin and death is your major enemy, like a lot of people looking at these police, the government, these people, this is minute. This stuff don't mean nothing. Sin is what means something. Sin is what can get you in hellfire. Government can't. Fear not those who can do what?
Kill the body.
But could do what? So we ain't worried about no police, no government, no Illuminati. We aware of it. We ain't worried about it. What our main focus need to be on is sin and death. They go hand in hand. And your general has beaten both of them. So who you got to look to for training? You got to look to your general. Right? Get Romans chapter 7. Sin and death go hand in hand. Your general done beat him. That means he got to give you the training to do it. Right? But the crazy thing is, sin is on your flesh. Sin really lies within you. Sin is who you were before you came into this truth. I wasn't Travis Snipes. I was sin walking around here. You understand what I'm saying? That's real talk. Because that's all we was. We was just a walking pile of sin. Which means it's still a remnant of sin that's trying to get in you because it's a part of you. Read what you got, Doc. Romans 7 and 7.
Romans chapter 7 and verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin?
Is the law sin? Go ahead.
Most High forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
So we got the law, right? The law is what showed us what sin is, right? A lot of us didn't know that we was doing wrong until we actually came into the word. You know what I'm saying? Read.
But sin, taking occasions by the commandments, wrought in me all manner of co-conspiracy. I can't even say this word. For without the law, sin was dead.
For without the law, sin was dead. Who know what that means? Without the law, sin was dead. Anybody know what that means?
Not aware.
Exactly. You wasn't aware. It was dead to you. You ain't know what. I'm around here doing this, that, and the third club. You ain't know none of this stuff was wrong. It was dead to you, right? Because you ain't know no better.
Concupiscence.
Concupiscence. There you go. It's exactly. It's a desire, right? So you didn't know that this sin was in you. You didn't know that this was sin, so it was dead to you, right? Out of sight, out of mind, right? Read.
For without the law, sin was dead. For I was alive without the law once. But when the commandments came.
But when the what?
But when the commandments
When
came.
I found out this word. I found out I was Israel. I came into this truth. What happened?
Sin revived and I died.
Hey, how you doing? I'm sin. Now you got to die to it. What Paul say he do daily? I die daily. I gotta die to myself. Daily. Read.
Sin revived and I died. And the commandments which was ordained to life I found to be unto death.
The commandments that were supposed to keep you alive, I found to be unto death. Because once I found out that these commandments was to help me live, I had to die to myself. Right? Read.
For sin, taking occasion by the commandments, deceived me, and by it slew me.
Read.
Wherefore the law is Kodesh, and the commandments Kodesh, and just and good.
Read.
Was then that which is good made deaf unto me?
It said, was then that which is good made deaf to me? So a lot of people in the Christian church try to spin this and say, oh man, see, keeping the commandments, and that's going to kill you. That's not what he's talking about. Read.
Most High forbid.
He said what?
Most High forbid.
Read.
But sin, that it might appear sin, worketh death in me by that which is good.
It says sin worked death inside of you by that which is good, because you found out that the commandments was right. So when you found out the commandments and the commandments started to work in you, you started to realize, I got to kill off this old man. I got to put off the conversation concerning the old man, right? Read.
That sin by the commandments might become exceeding sinful.
Verse 14.
For we know that the law is
The
spiritual.
law is what?
Spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin.
So just like our general, we are behind enemy lines. And in order for him to save us from out of this enemy, which is sin and death, we got to do what this man say. Give me Numbers chapter 10. Numbers chapter 10. Let's see what happens when we were getting ready to go to war. Numbers chapter 10. 10 and verse 9.
Numbers chapter 10, verse 9. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy,
If you go to war in what?
in the land against your
If
enemy
you go to war in the land against your enemy, what you supposed to do?
that oppressive you,
Do sin oppress our people? We talk about the white man do it. It's because of what we did to ourselves that we even in this position. Read.
then ye shall blow an alarm.
You shall do what?
Blow an alarm with the trumpets.
With the what?
With the
You're
trumpets.
supposed to blow an alarm with the trumpets. Read.
And ye shall be remembered before Yahuwah your power.
Isaiah 58 and 1. Read that again from the top.
Verse 9. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm
You shall blow an alarm
with the trumpets,
with the trumpet,
and ye shall be remembered before Yahuwah your power, and ye shall be saved.
He's going to remember you and save you if you blow this trumpet. Isaiah 58 and 1.
Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud.
Do what?
Cry aloud.
And do what?
Spare not. Lift up thy voice
Like a what?
Like a trumpet.
Like a trumpet. So he says, if you blow this trumpet when you at war with your enemies, then he gonna save you, right? He told you to cry loud, spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet, and what?
And show my people their transgression.
Who is our enemy? Sin. What is transgression? It's sin. He told you, you lift up your voice to this sin, you got to show my people their sins, and I got to come save you. I got to. Read.
It says, and show my people their transgression.
In the house of Jacob what?
And the house of Jacob their sins.
Blow that trumpet. You got to acknowledge the fact that it's wrong in order for you to do right. Right? He told you, if you blow this trumpet, I'm going to come save you from your enemy. But how many know we can't just talk it? Got to be about it too. So you might scream out that it's a wolf. And if the wolf run at you, you going to stand there? Nope. Got to get away. Right? Give me Exodus chapter 3 and 11. What I'm trying to show here is when you go into war with this enemy, which is sin and death, you call it out, but you still got to do the footwork. I'm not going, what's the saying? I can't help nobody that don't want to what? I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. You can't just say it to me. Isaiah 29 said they come to him with his lips, but their heart is far from him because you ain't doing nothing about it. Exodus 3 and 11. Let's see what he had Moses do.
Exodus chapter 3 and 11. And Moses said unto the Most High, who am I that I should go up unto Pharaoh?
Now Moses already had seen that the people was in distress, right? He already seen his people was being afflicted. So the Most High gave him a task. All right, you see this. Go do this. He's like, how I'm going to do it? Right? Well, you can't just do it yourself. No, it don't work like that. Read.
And Moses said unto the Most High, who am I that I should go up unto Pharaoh?
You know, a lot of people say, I done did too much dirt for the Most High to look on me and forgive me. I can't be perfect. It's impossible. Moses said, who am I? How I'm going to fight this bully? How I'm going to fight Pharaoh? Right? Read.
That I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt.
Go ahead.
And he said, certainly I will be with you.
He said, what?
certainly I will be with you.
I'm going to be with you. I need you to go and do it, but I'm going to be with you. I need you to say, I'm not about to smoke no more. I need you to say, I'm not going to drink no more. And when somebody trying to pass you a blunt or trying to give you a 40, you say no. I need you to stay away from fornication. So if anybody try to entice you, you get away from them. Give me Psalms 1:1. I need you to go and do it. I'm trying to save you, but I need you to do the footwork. You got people in your life right now that gear you to doing wrong. And you won't do the footwork to get away from them. You won't do the footwork. Whenever you go around these people, it's always a negative conversation, inappropriate conversation, all of these things going, but you won't get away from them. Do the footwork and he gonna help you. You ain't gonna never get up out of your sin if you don't take that, if you don't put your best foot forward. Psalms 1:1.
Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly.
That walk down the what?
In the counsel of the ungodly.
And what else?
Nor stands in the way of sinners.
How you gonna get away from sin if you always around sinners? It's impossible. Either they gonna sway you or you gonna sway them. And 9 times out of 10, the sin ain't trying to come up out of sin. You got to do the footwork. Read.
Nor sit in the seat of the scornful.
No sit in the what?
The seat of the scornful.
Go ahead.
But his delight.
But his what?
His delight is in the law.
It's in the law. Light can't be around darkness. It can't. It just can't happen. When it was darkness upon the face of the deep, right? The Most High created. And where did the darkness have to go? It had to go away. They can't stand with each other. They can't. It's impossible. The scriptures say you are the children of the light. When you go around the children of the darkness, they have to go away. Or when the darkness starts to come over the light, when nighttime starts to creep up, where the sun go? I got to get away from you. You're dark. That ain't what I'm about. I'm about the light. You got to go. You get what I'm saying? They can't come together. Right? It's one or the other. Read that again from the top. Start at verse 1.
Psalms
Take heed to this.
In verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahuwah.
Your delight shall be in the law of the Most High. So if this is your delight, it's going to be impossible for you to coexist with sinners. Especially on a regular basis. It's impossible. I've seen this firsthand by being around family. I have been separated from my family for almost 2 years. I couldn't be around them. Every time I come around, they get to talking. Oh, man, you know, I did this with this one chicken. Hey, man, you know that's fornication, right? You ain't supposed to be doing it. You go to hell. Oh, man, here he go with all this. Well, I can't be around. Don't ask me to come. I can't hide who I am. I'm separated from my family because of that. You get what I'm saying? Get back to Exodus 3 and 11. You got to do the footwork to get away from this enemy. I'm going to be with you is what the Most High said, but you got to do the groundwork. We get that? Okay.
Exodus chapter 3 and verse 11. And Moses said unto the Most High, Who am I that I should go up unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will be with you, and this shall be a token unto you that I have sent you.
So he said, listen, this is going to be a token to you. This is really a prize for you. This is really something great that I'm showing you. It's really something. Take this into consideration. This is a token. Just know that because I sent you, I ain't going to let nothing happen to you. Pharaoh ain't going to overcome you. I'm the one who I kill. And give me Exodus 15 and 3. The Most Highs who do this stuff. Give me that. Give me that scripture.
Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3. Yahuwah is a man of war.
He a what?
A man of war.
He a man of war. So if you in his army, and this is the creator of all, he is a man of war. If he sends you as a soldier in his war, do you think he gonna let something happen to you? He said, let this be a token to you. I'm the one that sent you. So if I send you in there with a mission and you do it, I got your back. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the Ak period, right? You was in the military, right? Yep. If the army give you specific instructions and say, hey, I need you to go in here, do A, B, C, and D, and you walk in there and do H, I, J, and K, you on your own. I didn't give you them instructions. You on your own. Don't think that you can do it your own way. I trained you to do it my way. It's simple, right? Get verse 18 in that same chapter.
Verse 18. And they shall hearken or listen to your voice. And you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and you shall say unto him, Yahuwah, your power of the Hebrews, have met us, and now let us go, we beseech you, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice it to Yahuwah our power.
So the Most High done gave Moses the whole game plan. He didn't leave nothing from him. Did he give us the game plan on how to defeat sin? Did he let us know what was going to happen once you start to do it? So now you know. Read the next verse. Exodus 3. We in verse 19 now. So he told Moses, go in there, tell him the Most High, power of the Hebrews, he done came to us. He done said, let us go. Right? What did he tell him that Pharaoh was going to do?
And I am sure.
And I am what?
And I am sure.
I know. Go ahead.
That the king of Egypt will not let you go.
I know he ain't going to let you go. I know when you come into this word, start keeping these commandments, that your father is going to be against you. Your mother going to be against you. Right? Your brothers is going to try to give you up. I'm telling you this stuff. He letting you know a father is going to be at variance against his son. Right? I'm trying to tell you, when you come into this word, you living for me, what's going to happen? It's the casualties of war. Read.
I know he will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out mine hand. And
well, when he do that, I'm going what?
I will stretch out mine hand, and I will smite Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof.
I got your back. I'm not sending you on a dummy mission, Moses. I'm telling you, when you go in there and you tell him this stuff, he ain't going to have it. When you leave out, because he don't do it, I'm going to smash him. We got to understand that if he is our general, he letting you know, come up out of sin. When you try to come out, you're going to have obstacles, but I'm going to take care of them. And if your family not careful and they keep on doing what they doing to you, that's wrong, he might get them up out of the way. You do understand that, right? What did he say was going to happen to anybody that offend one of his anointed? What's going to happen? Millstone on their neck. Take them to the bottom of the sea. That means they're going to what? They're going to die. Right? We got to consider. Exodus 17, verse 8. Just listen to the general, and he going to lead you through the battle, and you going to win.
Exodus chapter 17 and verse 8. Then came Amalek.
Then came who?
Amalek.
One of our enemies.
And fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out men, and go out and fight with Amalek tomorrow. I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of the Most High in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and fought with Amalek.
He did what?
And fought with Amalek.
So he fought with Amalek, which means that he had to become a what? If they go into war and he fight, what is he? He a soldier. I want y'all to hold on to that. Go ahead.
And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hands, Amalek prevailed.
So when we came out of Egypt and we hit the Red Sea, right? If Moses wouldn't have listened to the Most High to lift up that staff, right, to part the sea, what will become of us? We wouldn't be here, right? In order for us to get through there, Moses had to actually listen and actually go through with what he told him to do, right? Right here, when we fighting against Amalek, he say, lift up your hands. When his hands is lifted, we prevail, right? Who was doing that? Who was making us prevail? It was the Most High, right? I just need you to do this, and I'm going to take care of that. Read it.
But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword.
You know what's crazy about that sidebar, right quick? It says he held up his hands until the going down of the sun, right? Who else did that? I heard a child say it. The Mashiach. When he was on that stake, he held up his hands until the going down of the sun. And we end up winning that battle, right? He did that for the good of the children of Israel. That's just a sidebar. But it's just showing that if you actually do the groundwork, the Most High gonna do everything else, right? So when they fought this battle, they became soldiers. So now I want y'all to get in your mindset, men and women, because with this spiritual battle, get me Philippians 2 and 12. With this spiritual battle, a woman, as women, can you lose this battle? Even if you have a husband, can you still lose this spiritual battle? Man, you already know that you can lose this battle, right? Which means, at this present time, women, you're going to have to be a soldier too. We ain't talking about putting on no soldier's attire physically. We talking about in this spiritual mind frame that we in, fighting against sin and death, right? You have to become a soldier as well. Let's see. Read that.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence. Work out your own salvation.
Do what?
Work out your own salvation.
You got to, at the end of the day, you're going to have to stand on your own 10 toes at judgment. Your husband is there to guide you, but if you don't pay attention to the guidelines, you're going to find yourself swimming in the lake. Right? So we all got to be soldiers. Give me 2 Timothy chapter 2. Right? Got to be soldiers. 2 and start at verse 1. Keep in mind, we are at war. You partially at war with the world. Hashaitan got a hand in it. And you also at war with yourself. Your what? Your flesh. I want y'all to hold on to that. Go ahead.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 1. Thou, therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Yahushua HaMashiach, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also. Though therefore endure hardness as a good soldier.
As a what?
As a good soldier of Yahushua HaMashiach.
Endure hardness. This is light affliction. Endure this hardness. Because remember, although you see this stuff, it's still something greater that you don't see. Next verse.
No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life.
Read that one more time.
No man that warreth entangles himself with the affairs of this life.
What does this mean? Somebody let me know what this means. I need somebody to tell me. Give me a volunteer. No man that warreth entangles himself with what?
With the affairs of this life.
Goes back to not being worried about the carnal things of this earth right here.
Exactly.
Worried about eternal life.
Exactly. If you gonna be a soldier to Hamashiach, you can't worry about what you see. You can't worry about what's... Matter of fact, give me Deuteronomy chapter 20. Because he get this from the law. Everything that's in this New Testament, it comes from the law. They always quote in the law. Just in case you didn't know that. They always quote in the law. So this comes from the law. Let's see. He says, any man that's a soldier, don't entangle himself with the affairs of this world. Let's see. Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 1. And when thou goest out to battle against thine enemies.
When you go into battle against your enemy, so you go into war, right? Read.
And seest horses and chariots and people more than you.
He said, if you go and see horses, chariots, and people more than you. So just imagine you in battle. And it's just us. Right? Let's just say 30 of us, whatever, right? We here. We in this room. And outside of here is tanks, helicopters, police, army men. You got people underground trying to dig up they SWAT. You got all that around here, right? He said, if you see all of this stuff, what?
Don't be afraid.
Read.
Horses and chariots and people more than thou. Be not afraid of them.
Be not afraid of them. How hard is that to do? Being honest. It's hard. It's hard. You know it. It's hard. You hear the choppers. You hear them say, hey, you come out with your hands up or we're going to blow the building up. It's hard not to be in here shaking in your boots. But he did not give us the spirit of fear. Don't you realize that those who find themselves outside of the kingdom are those who fear? Fear is entangled, if it's not towards the Most High, with sin. He tell you from the very beginning, every time we had any type of battles with anybody, the first thing he tell you to do is do not be afraid. Why is that? It can cripple you. What else?
I mean, you don't have faith in the Most High.
You don't have faith. Lack of trust. All that's right. This what we got to realize. When it came to Moses, he told Moses, go up here, do this thing, and I'm going to be with you. So if all of these things were surrounding this building, telling us they're going to blow us up, the one thing that we got to realize is, man, we had Shabbat class. This is ran by the Most High. They better be scared. It's hard to think that way, but he commands you to every time. Fear not. Don't be afraid. In battle, fear will get you killed. You understand? But at the same time, it'll also save you. Because when you're scared, what they say with a cat in the corner, you're going to do whatever you take to get out. Our fear towards the Most High is going to save us. But your fear towards man is going to get you damned to hell. We see that, right? We do understand that. Read. Matter of fact, let's get an example of that. Give me 1 Kings No, 2 Kings chapter 6. 2 Kings chapter 6. 2 Kings chapter 6. Let's get an example of that. Start at verse 8.
2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 8. Then the king of Syria warred against Israel.
So here we go with war again. King of Syria warred against Israel.
And took counsel with his servants, saying, in such and such a place shall be my camp.
He said, we're going to set up in this one spot. Read.
And the man of the Most High sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for hither the Syrians are come down.
So this prophet say, hey, king, don't go over there because the Syrians going to come down. They're going to try to kill you. Right? We're going to see later in this chapter that the prophet wasn't nowhere near this man when he said this. Keep reading.
And the king of Israel sent to place which the man of the Most High told him and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice. Therefore, the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled.
He was pissed, for lack of a better word. When he came there, he like, wait a minute. I know they supposed to come through here. Why they ain't here? It got to be a mole in the game. Which one of y'all went and told? You know what I'm saying? Read.
Therefore, the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel?
Which one of y'all done went and told the king of Israel that I was going to be here? Something ain't right. I only told a select few of y'all what we was doing. Read.
And one of his servants said, none, my master.
Ain't none of us for the king. We want to get him dead just like you do. Read.
O king, but Elisha, the prophet.
But who?
But Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber.
This man was in his bed chambers, in his room, in his house when he said this. How did Elisha know this? Because he was a man of the Most High. He listened to the Most High's word, right? He was a prophet. So it don't matter what your enemy try to do in secret to try to get at you. The Most High going to always reveal it. Psalms 2 and 2. The Most High is going to always reveal it. He going to always give what your enemy trying to do to you. Because he wants you to prevail because you're doing what he say do. Right?
Psalms chapter 2 and verse 2. The kings of the earth set themselves.
They do what?
The kings of the earth set themselves.
Oh, the Most High put Barack Obama in office. It was God that put that black man in there. They do what?
The kings of the earth set themselves.
Read.
And the rulers take counsel together.
They do what?
And the rulers take counsel together.
They might make y'all think they fighting this, that, and the other in the back of in the back room. They all together at the round table trying to discuss how they can get y'all up out of here. Hence, one world government. Go ahead.
Against Yahuwah.
Against who?
Against Yahuwah.
So they ain't only plotting against you. They plotting against the Most High. Read.
And his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us.
What does a band do? Keep you together, right? What is a cord? Like just think umbilical cord, right? What is the purpose of the umbilical cord? What does it do? It feeds the child with what? With nourishment. It's blood in there, right? The blood holds the what?
Life.
The soul, the life. Let's snip this cord and let's take them away from their law. This is what that's why you got men out here wearing dresses. You see your celebrities wearing dresses and all. They take the people that you look to and make them do all of these things because they know you're going to follow. They come up with plans to do this stuff. It's in the minds of your children. You get what I'm saying? They make you do this stuff so you can get further and further away from the Most High, because they know the word. The further we get away from the Most High, that means we ain't keeping the laws. If we ain't keeping the law, we can go in there and smash on them. Right? They doing this stuff, right, Reed?
He that sitteth in the Shamaim shall laugh.
He said what?
He that sitteth in the Shamaim shall laugh.
He up there laughing like, oh my goodness, they really think this is gonna work. He done set up his anointed already. Y'all think this is what's gonna call? He said he gonna laugh. Just like when the king of Syria tried to do what he tried to do to the children of Israel, and Most High said, I got a better plan. How about I tell Elijah what's going on so y'all don't do nothing to him? Right? Go ahead back to 2 Kings and read that. Where you left off. Yep.
2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 13.
Now the main point that we was on is to not be afraid when you see this stuff, right? Let's keep reading.
And he said, go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. Mm-hmm. And it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. Mm-hmm. Therefore send he thither horses and chariots.
Send them where? Send them what?
He sent them horses and chariots.
And what else?
And a greater host.
So he says, don't be afraid when you see all these things come around you. So the king of Syria said, send everything we got to Elijah. To Elisha, right? Send everything we got. We got to get this dude. He done spoiled our plot. You got to go. Read.
And they came by night and compassed the city about.
They did what?
Compassed the city about.
They surrounded him, just like we'd be here, and they surrounded him, right? Now, could you imagine waking up in the middle of the night and knowing that all this stuff was around you? Like it's just normal when you go to bed. And when you get up,
Amen.
You got guns in your face. You know what I'm saying? Read.
Verse 15. And when the servant of the man of the Most High was risen early and gone forth, behold.
When he what?
When he was going forth, behold, a host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do?
What we gonna do? But Elisha, being a man of the Most High, that means he knew the law, correct? So when you go into war, what does the law state if this happens to you?
Don't fear.
Don't fear. Read.
And he answered, fear not.
That's the first thing he told him. Don't worry about what we're going to do right now, but don't be afraid. That's the first thing he wanted us to know. So you can't be scared that, oh, this is something that I just can't let go. It's something that's just in me that I keep doing, this sin. What you running away from it for? Face it head on and get it up out your life. Don't be afraid. Read.
Fear not. For they that be with us are more than they that be with them.
Wow. They compassed them, but he still said it's still more of us than them. Why is that? Because he had the Most High. Read.
And Elisha prayed and said, Yahuwah, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see.
He says, open his eyes that he may see. Now, the person that he's speaking to, right? He said, open his eyes that he can see, right? Obviously, this person was blind. You get what I'm saying? He said, open his eyes so he can see what's going on, right? Read.
And Yahuwah opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire.
This man is blind, and he finally opened his eyes for the first time, and he see all of these things around him trying to come and kill him. But he told him beforehand, before he prayed for it, don't be afraid. What you about to see is going to be crazy. But don't be afraid. Right? Read.
Chariots of fire round about Elisha. Verse 18. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto Yahuwah and said, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness.
So You know what's crazy? The first thing he do, he didn't say, hey, y'all, let's go run in the clefts of the rock. Hey, y'all, let's go hide. What was the first thing that he did, other than told him not to be afraid? He prayed. Why is the most fundamental thing in the Bible something that we lack? How many people do your 3 prayers a day, honestly? It's fundamental, man. We gotta get to that. You understand what I'm saying? The first thing this man did was pray. You know? I mean, it's not hard to do, but you got to dedicate yourself to it. You got to pray. You got to at least get your 3 times a day in. That's in the book. Read.
And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said unto them, this is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom ye seek.
So, all in all, this soldier of the Most High, right? The first thing he when he got up, he saw this stuff. He said, "Don't be afraid." He wasn't afraid of none of these people and nothing what they had for him. He prayed to the Most High, and the Most High delivered them from out of their hands and actually brought the enemy behind enemy territory. You get what I'm saying? So let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 20. So that's just that first portion of Deuteronomy 20. As a soldier, he tells you, if you see all of these things around you, don't be afraid. How many sins is it that you can commit? Can you count on your hand? That sounds like it's compassing you, right? Right? That sounds like it's a bunch of chariots, horsemen. It's all this. They outnumber you. But at the same time, if you got the general, if you actually doing what he say, he gonna fight them off. We all live in Detroit, right? Some may be on the outskirts. We live in Detroit, right? We see on the news murder, theft, all these things. Going on your everyday life, would you think that you live in the place that you see on TV? Because he took you out of it. You get what I'm saying? You inside it, but you out of it. You are in the world, but you ain't of the world. All these people getting murdered. We got one of the highest murder rates, but how many of you have been around it? It's too easy. I can make you free in captivity. It's like a person that's in jail. If they come into this word, even though they in captivity, if their mind is free, they free. Because even though we on the outskirts of the jails, we still in captivity, but we free. See what I'm saying? Read that. You can't entangle your mind with the affairs of this world. Read.
Deuteronomy 20 and verse 2. And it shall be, when you are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people.
That the who?
That the priest shall approach and speak unto the people.
Who came and spoke to the people? A priest. Nobody? I mean, like we literally every Sabbath we find this man in the volume of the book. Who we talking about? We're talking about Mashiach. Mashiach is our high priest. He came in the flesh and came and talked to the people. Right? Read.
And shall say unto them,
what the priest gonna tell you?
Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies.
You approach this day in battle against your enemies. You in a fight against sin. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but what?
Principalities in high places.
Exactly. Read.
Let not your hearts faint.
Let not your heart what?
Faint.
Let not your heart faint.
Fear not.
Fear not.
And do not tremble.
And don't tremble. Hamashiach came and let you know that this battle ain't yours. I'm getting ready to go up here and die for you. So you can overcome the world. But you got to be willing to fight. The disciples, after Hamashiach died and rose, had to go in the trenches. They had to go and visit these places and bring these people up out of the damnation, the destruction that they was into. Read.
Neither be ye terrified because of them. For Yahuwah your power is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies. to save you.
To save you. This is what he here for. But remember, he said, don't entangle yourself with the affairs of the world. Let's see what he's talking about. Read.
And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying,
The who?
the officers shall speak unto the
The
people,
officers shall speak unto the people. Read.
saying, what man is there that have built a new house?
He said, what?
What man as thou has built a new house?
Anybody built a new house, bought a new house, anything like that? Right? Read.
And have not dedicated it.
He said, if you done built this house and you ain't dedicated it yet, right? You ain't broke this house in. You ain't did what you wanted to do with this house yet. What he tell him?
Let him go and return to his house.
Go home. We getting ready to go to war. I don't need you to be thinking about your house. Because if you in war and you think, finish that up.
Lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicated.
So he's telling you, first off, the crazy thing is he telling you, you might die. So if you worried about another man coming and dedicating your house, go home. I don't need you. I don't need you in battle worrying about, oh man, if I die in my house, then you get scared. Then you go against what the priest told you. Now you shook up. I don't need that in my battle. Go home. I don't need you. I don't need you. Read.
And what man is he that have planted a vineyard?
You did what?
That planted a vineyard, and have not yet eaten of it. Let him also go and return unto his house.
If you done planted a vineyard, you ain't received the benefits of your vineyard, what you got to do? Read.
Lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that have betrothed a wife?
If you got a wife, anybody newlywed, I myself, right? Right? If you got a wife, read.
And what man that there have betrothed a wife and have not taken her?
So he telling you at this point, if you done betrothed this wife and you ain't laid with her yet, what do he want you to do?
Let him go and return unto his house.
Go home. I don't need you thinking about your wife in battle. That's a lot of brothers' problems now. When it comes to doing the work of the Most High, you can't worry about your family. You can't worry about your spouse because this the work. You at war. You can't deal with emotions in war. Read.
Lest he die in the battle, and another man take her.
A lot of men, when they go to war, oh man, if I die, somebody else gonna be with my woman. Don't know what. Oh my goodness. He gonna be in my bed. I pay for that house. He gonna be whooping my kids. Hey, babe, I'm about to go to war. You know, if I die, you gonna be celibate till you die, right? You entangling yourself with the affairs of this world. It's time for battle. What you thinking about that for? It's time for war. You know how brother is, man. You know, I want you to put my ashes on the top of the thing, so if any man come in there, he'll know I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters be worried about the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just honest. We worry. This is time for war. Why are we worried about the stuff of this world? Oh, my Jordans, man. My Jordans. I done spent my whole life collecting these Jordans. Right? I mean, it's just real. Read on.
And the officer shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful?
That is what?
That is fearful.
So now we done got out of the whole thing with the affairs of the world. Right? Off of that alone. Stop worrying about this stuff that's in front of you is temporary. It's temporary. Stop worrying about it. Don't deal with it. In the esteem that we deal with these things, let it go. It ain't gonna last. But eternal life or eternal damnation will. Feel what I'm saying? So he told you, any man that's what?
Fearful and faint-hearted, let him go and return unto his house.
Go home, because if you in war, right, Brother Perry, you at war, right? We both go to war, right? And we in the middle of the battlefield, and I'm shaking in my boots. I'm scared. What is that gonna do to other brothers that's around me?
They're gonna throw them off their square. They're gonna be worried about you.
Exactly.
You might get them killed.
Exactly. You can't. Exactly. You can't be scared. If you scared, I'm not even about to use that as an example. You know what?
If you're scared, go to Shabbat class.
But on the real, if you scared, go home. You actually now you can't go home because you are the home. You're the temple. You can't be worried about this stuff because if you do, you gonna die. Feel what I'm saying? Now imagine if we go into war and everybody that enlisted that was supposed to go to war, if everybody went home for one of them things, who gonna fight the war? So who gonna die? Everybody. It's simple. It's simple. You got to be able to fight this war. You can't worry about what's going on in this world. Go back to 2 Timothy. Was there anything else on that?
Just the end of that.
Go ahead, read the end of that.
Let him go and return into his house, lest his brethren's heart faint, as well as his heart.
Like the brother said, you gonna either make another brother scared, or you gonna make me worry about you so much that I'm gonna get killed. This is a war that we fight, that Hamashiach done already gave his life for. We don't need nobody that's fearful. We don't need nobody that's gonna worry about their house, their wife, their car, their clothes. We don't need that. This war is serious because it can cost you your soul. 2 Timothy again.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. And if any man also
He said
strive,
that have chosen him to be a soldier. Keep your mind on your general. When you watch these movies, right, and you sneaking up on somebody in battle, what you got to do? You got to be watchful. What the sergeant doing? He's right. They actually do that, right? It's giving you sick. You got to watch. You got to watch. It's very important. You got to watch for your general. Give me Judges chapter 7. Judges chapter 7 and verse 1. Because everything that pertains to life is in the book, right? So being watchful at war, it got to be in the book, right? How was soldiers chosen against, when we went to battle in Gideon? How was the soldiers chosen? Exactly. Let's read. Judges 7 and 1. You got to watch.
Judges chapter 7, verse 1. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the wall of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Morah in the valley. And Yahuwah said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands.
He said, it's too many of y'all to give to the Midianites. Why though?
Lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hand has saved me.
So he said, it's too many of y'all. I don't want y'all thinking, going into this battle, that you the one who won this thing. I've been showing y'all time and time again that it's been me. Everything the Most High do is for his glory. Right? It's too many of y'all to go up against these people. So I got to cut some of y'all off so y'all don't think that this was y'all doing it. Right? What is this to offer this? Anybody seen that movie 300? How many people it was that warred against them and they still prevailed? right? That movie was filled with who? What kind of soldiers? What you say, Al? What you say, young Al? Greek. They was Greeks. They was white people. They done flipped our story. This in our book. Now everybody is thinking when they look at 300 that these is a bunch of white people that went and fought against all these black folks and won. You know what I'm saying? I just want to point that out. That just kind of made me mad when I finally figured out that's what it was. You know. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Now therefore, go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early.
Go home.
Mount Gilead.
Go home. I don't need you in this war. Go home. So you know that probably cut a lot of them up out of there. Read.
And there returned of the people 20 and 2,000.
How many returned?
20 and 2,000.
22,000.
22,000. You know what this remind me of? Didn't Hamashiach have a bunch of disciples walking after him? And after a while, he like, I can't deal with this cat. I'm leaving. A bunch of them left. It was a whole bunch of quote unquote disciples, right? How many did it end up being at the end? It seemed like it matched up. 22,000 left. Read.
And there remained 10,000. And Yahuwah said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many.
It's still too many of y'all, man. I got to figure out a way to cut y'all out of here. Read.
Bring them down into the water, and I will try them for thee there.
This is your basic training, right? You know you're going and listening to the army. You go through basic training. If you can make it through basic training, you in the army, right? This is basic training. This was literally basic training. You ain't got to do no push-ups, no jumping jacks. This is basic training, right? Read.
And it shall be.
Now, how many men was it?
10,000.
It was 10,000 men. Read.
And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee. The same shall go over with thee. And of whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee. The same shall not go.
Read.
So he brought down the people unto the water. And Yahuwah said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth the water.
Everyone that what?
That lappeth the water. With his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, everyone that boweth down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men.
So, these men was down like this, putting their hand to their mouth. So they can do what? So they can watch. They wasn't even in war right now. But these men got watchful eyes. I got to watch everything that's around me while I'm drinking this water. He said, them the ones I want. How many men was it? Out of how many men that stayed?
10,000.
Don't that sound like a remnant? If 300 men out of every 10,000 men were to make it into the kingdom, what does that mean for this classroom? You understand what I'm saying? Who really want this? Who really want to fight in this war and prevail? If 300 out of 10,000 made it, how many people we got here? So who good at math? You good at math?
Yeah.
You know what that'll be? What the percentage of that'll be? 10,000, 300. What's 300 to 10,000? What's that? 3%?
300 to 10,000.
How many percent is that? 300 to 10,000. I need this, y'all. I need this math.
3,000
300. What? That brother done left us. Ain't nobody got no calculator. I need it. 3%. It's 3%. So how many people are in here? Let's just say 40. Somebody do the math on that. 1.2 people out of 40.
Hey, me and Money Man.
No.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Scriptures say that this is a race, right? Everybody ain't that fast. So somebody gonna have to outrun somebody else. If 1.2 people out of 40 in that case would make it, how many more of us is in trouble? So take that into consideration. If you play out the odds, one person out of 40, I don't like them odds, right? So I got to do everything in my power to make sure I'm one of them people watching while I'm drinking. You got to, as a soul, you don't have a choice but to be in this war. None of us have a choice but to be in this war. So you got to make sure you watching. You got to make sure you paying attention, and you make sure that you're doing everything that the general is telling you to do. Because he'll send you home. You understand? Remember yesterday we were saying that them houses was going into them unclean places? What was that unclean place we found out?
Lake of fire.
It was the lake of fire. We don't want that. Right? Get Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5, we almost at the end. Galatians chapter 5. When you at war, or when you think about going to the army, right? What's the first thing that scares you about the army? You don't think about basic training. You don't think about doing push-ups, jumping jacks. What do you think about? You think about war. In war, what happens? You die. I know I didn't enlist because I don't want to die. You get what I'm saying? This is the first thing that you think about when you think about a war. Wow, I could die. How many of us know that in this war, you have to die? You can't live without dying in this war. Too many of us is worried about living the life that we got than to living it with the Most High. In order for Hamashiach to ascend back to his Father, he had to what? He had to die. In order for us to be risen as a new man, as a new creature, we got to what? Read it. Give me a verse 16.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Hold on. What makes you fear death? Your flesh. What makes you say, let's get it in? On the righteous tip. Your spirit. So your flesh is warring against your spirit. Do anybody know why your flesh war against your spirit? Please.
Your spirit is of the Most High. The flesh is of sin.
Okay. Your sin of sin and of the Most High. Please tap your neighbor and say you're going to learn something today.
Y'all know that.
Oh, you teaching it. You gonna learn something.
Your flesh wars against your spirit. It's a reason for it. Read that.
Verse 17. For the flesh lusts against
1
the
Corinthians
spirit,
15.
and the spirit against the flesh.
So they warn with each other, right? Read.
And these are contrary to one to the other.
They contrary one to the other. It's a big fight. It's a war, right? What verse you at?
17.
Go drop down to verse 19.
Verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest.
The works of the flesh are what?
Are manifest.
So the works of the flesh are what? Read.
Which are these:
Uh-huh.
adultery,
Adultery.
fornication,
Uh-huh.
uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, seditions,
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
heresies,
Oh my goodness.
envying,
Oh my goodness. Some more?
envying, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like of these which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
So, your flesh has a lot of flaws in it. Your flesh is of sin. Your flesh is of unrighteousness. 1 John 5:17 says, all unrighteousness is what? Is sin. Right? Keep on reading.
Verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
How many things did the Spirit produce as opposed to how many things the flesh produced? It's outnumbering it, right?
Like 10 to 17.
It's outnumbering it. You think the Spirit is going to fear for that? The Spirit ain't worried about none of that. Because it comes from the Most High, right? The flesh is warring against the Spirit. This is a jealousy thing. But why in the world would your flesh be jealous of your spirit? Cain and Abel. What was the root cause? Jealousy. Joseph and his brothers. Esau, Jacob. This is a preface into what Brother Yaakov is going to bring out. Right? Jealousy. The spirit wars against the flesh, and the flesh wars against the spirit, and the root cause of it is jealousy. What does the spirit and the flesh have in common? You. Both of them have a hold on you. You have your flesh, but what dwells inside of this flesh is the spirit. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 47.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 47. The first man is of the earth, earthly. The second man is the master from Shamayim. As in the earthly, such are they also that are earthly. And as the heavenly, such are they are also that are heavenly.
So he makes a distinction. You got the earthy and you got the heavenly. You got flesh, you got spirit. Read.
And as we have borne the same image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood.
That what?
Flesh and blood
cannot what?
Cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Why is your flesh jealous of your spirit? It can't go. It can't go with you. They fighting over you. The flesh say, I can't. If this man do right, the spirit is going to take him and they're going to be with the Most High. And I got to be put off. No. We can't have that. Nope. Now I got to be on you and say, hey man, you see that girl right there? You see that bottle of liquor? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't got to keep the Shabbat. It's jealous of us. It can't go. It has to oppose the spirit. Because if you end up making it to the Most High, y'all leave him. But if you don't, all of y'all together is going to be in the lake of fire. Y'all understand that? One more time? Read that again.
Do it again. Start at verse 47.
Matter of fact, go back to what you said first. Galatians chapter 5.
Let's do it again.
16. Galatians chapter 5 and 16. This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
What does verse 16 say?
15 says,
Okay, you go verse 16. Walk in the spirit, and what?
walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
So if you walking in the spirit, you can't fulfill the lust of the flesh. You know what I'm saying? So Hamashiach came and had flesh on him, but he was walking in the spirit, which caused him not to be able to sin. Right? Read.
Verse 17. For the flesh lusts against the spirit.
It do what?
Lust against the spirit.
It lusts against the spirit. It's jealous of your spirit. It's contrary to the spirit. Right? Read.
And the spirit against the flesh.
And the spirit is going against the flesh. Read.
And these are contrary the one to the other.
They contrary to each other. Right? And the common thing with them is you. Right? You are you. You got flesh on you and you got a spirit. Right? Either way, both of them trying to pull you. Your flesh is trying to pull you to do sin. Your spirit is trying to pull you to do righteousness. Feel what I'm saying? Read.
So that you cannot do the things that you would.
So you can't do the things that you would. Your flesh is trying to get you to do things that are not of the Most High. Read.
But if you be led of the Spirit,
But if you be led of the Spirit,
you are not under the law.
you are not under the law. Let me show you what that means. Give me 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3. And pick me up at verse 8.
Yeah, something in there.
Go ahead, huh?
Like, where does your flesh come from? Come from the ground, right? Where does the spirit come from? Samaim, you see? One come from here and one come from there.
Exactly.
They are against each other. They contrary.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
1 John chapter 3 and verse 8.
Now remember, he told you to walk after the spirit, right? Not after the flesh. Read.
He that commits sin
He that commits sin, which is of your flesh, is what?
is of the devil.
Is of the what?
The devil.
If you commit sin, you are of the devil. There ain't no getting around that. You feel what I'm saying? If you sin, then you are of the devil. That's book. I don't have to say it. The devil will not enter into the kingdom. You feel me? If you commit sin, you are the devil. Read.
For the devil sins from the beginning.
He sinned from the beginning. Read.
For this purpose, the Son of the Most High.
The what?
The Son of the Most High.
So Hamashiach, who came to give you the spirit, read.
Was manifested.
He was manifested. To do what?
That he might destroy the works of the devil.
He came to destroy the works of the devil. What were the devil's works? Sin. Right? Go back. Matter of fact, no. Keep reading. I'm sorry.
Verse 9. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
Whosoever is born of the Most High.
If you born of the Most High, because the Most High is what?
Right.
He is what?
The light.
He is what?
Oh, you said the Most High.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Right? Read.
Whosoever is born of the Most High.
Whoever is born of the Most High, that's born of the Spirit, do what?
Does not commit sin.
You can't commit sin. So if you're born of the Most High, that means you putting off your flesh. Read.
For his seed remains in him.
So if you are born of the Most High, it's impossible to commit sin. Which lets you know that a lot of these baptisms that done went on was in vain. Because when you rise from out of that water, you're supposed to rise what?
A new man.
A new man. Walking after the Spirit. You feel what I'm saying? So if you committing sin and you supposed to be this new man, you ain't really no new man. You understand what I'm saying? You still got on your flesh. Now go back.
Pick it back at 17. Galatians chapter 5 and verse 17. For the flesh lusts against the spirit.
So it lusts against the spirit.
And the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other.
They contrary to each other.
So that you cannot do the things that you would. But if you be led of the Spirit, you are not under the law.
Keep going.
Now the works of the flesh are manifest.
The works of the flesh are what?
Are manifest.
They manifest. And what are the works of the flesh?
Which are these?
Uh-huh.
Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness.
What did he say?
Lasciviousness.
Before that.
Uncleanness.
Unclean. Didn't we talk about being in the... Your flesh is what makes you be unclean. Your house can't be unclean because your temple is supposed to be what? Let's go.
Verse 20. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation.
You ever had hatred towards somebody? You know what I'm saying? That's not the spirit that make you hate that person. That's the flesh. That's emotion. You feel what I'm saying? Read.
Wrath.
What?
Wrath. Strife. Seditions. Heresies. Envyings. Murders.
You ever envy somebody? It could have been no reason at all. You just envy somebody, right? That ain't of the spirit. That's completely your flesh. Read.
Drunkenness. Revelings. And such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
He just told you right here what it was. The flesh produces all these things, and if you do what these things of the flesh is telling you to do, you ain't gonna get into the kingdom, right? Now, what's the fruits of the spirit?
But the fruit of the Spirit is love.
The what of the spirit?
The fruit of the Spirit is love.
What's our next feast day coming up?
First fruit.
First fruits. So you got to be able to produce these fruits when we come back together for this feast. Read.
Love. Joy.
What is love according to the scriptures? If you love me, do what? Read.
Joy. Peace. Long suffering. Gentleness. Goodness. Faith. Meekness.
It said faith. Oh, what you got? Get me Romans chapter 14 in the last verse. The fruits of the spirit is of faith. Let's see something.
Romans 14 and 23. And he that doubteth is damned.
Is what?
Is damned.
Fear and doubt go hand in hand. Read.
And he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eateth not of faith.
Of not of what?
Of faith.
Read.
For whosoever is not of faith.
Whosoever is not of faith. Whatsoever is not of faith is what?
Is sin.
Read that right again. The fruits of the spirit is what?
Love. Joy.
Love means keep the commandments.
Joy. Peace.
Peace.
Long.
That's peace deals with the Shabbat. It deals with rest, right? Read.
Long suffering.
Long suffering. Same thing that the Most High done have for us. The reason why we alive right now.
Patience.
Read.
Gentleness.
Gentleness. Read.
Goodness. Faith.
Faith. Anything that's not of faith is what?
Sin.
It's sin. So if you don't have faith, if you ain't putting your eggs in the Most High's basket, then what are you doing? You sinning. Read.
Meekness. Temperance. Against such there is no law.
Against these things ain't no law. You better be able to produce these things that come first fruits. You feel what I'm saying? When it comes to the flesh, it wants you to sin. When it comes you to come to the spirit, it wants you to keep the law. Their common thing is you. Because wherever the one go, it wants you to go with him. 1 Corinthians 15 and 47. You following me so far, bro? All right.
1 Corinthians 15 and verse 47. The first man is of the earth.
The first man is of the earth. Who was the first man? Adam. He was of the earth. What did Adam end up doing? He ended up sinning. Right? Read.
The second man is of Yahuwah.
The second man is of the Most High. He didn't come from no man. He was sent down into Mary by the Most High. So the first man, Adam, was of the earth. The second man, what is he called? Anybody know what he's called in the scriptures? The second Adam. Right? He was the second Adam. But he came from the Most High. And if he have seeds that remain in himself, that means that his seeds got to do what? come from the Most High. Read.
As is the earthly, such are they also that are earthly. And as the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly.
It's two different classes. You got the earthly and you got the heavenly. Read.
And as we have borne the image of the earthly,
We got the image of the earthly. We got the image of the first Adam because we got flesh on. You feel me? Read.
we shall also bear the image of the heavenly.
We still got to bear the image of the heavenly. We still got to walk in the spirit. You look like Adam, but you act like Hamashiach. You understand that? Read.
Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood,
That what?
flesh and blood,
That what?
flesh and blood
That flesh and blood, the image of the earthly, read,
cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
it can't inherit the kingdom of the Most High. You feel what I'm saying? So, if the flesh can't go to the heavens, he got to keep you from getting there. Isaiah 66 in the last verse. He got to keep you from getting there. The spirit is going to the Most High. The spirit is trying to get you to come. So if the flesh can get you to sin, you get to stay with him. But if the spirit can get you to come to do righteously, you get to go with the Father. Isaiah 66 in the last verse.
Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 24.
This gonna let you know that the flesh wants you to get here because the flesh still gonna be here. Read.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men.
The what are the men?
The carcasses of the men
A carcass is what?
Flesh.
It's
Dead
flesh.
body.
They're gonna look at the carcass of the men. Read.
that have transgressed against me.
That sin. They sin because of their flesh. Read.
For their worm shall not die.
They worm shall not die. You gonna be burning and know you burning. Read.
Neither shall their fire be quenched.
Neither shall their fire be quenched. It's gonna be an eternal fire. Read.
And they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
Unto what?
All flesh.
Do we see this? That flesh is going to be in the pit. That flesh is going to burn. You understand? So he say, hey, if I can get you to come with me, I got to do everything in my power to do it. Right? Go back to 1 Corinthians 47. Read verse 50.
1 Corinthians 15 and verse 50. Now this, you say what? Verse 50? Verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Neither do corruption inherit incorruption.
Neither do corruption inherit incorruption. Your flesh is corrupt. Right? Read.
Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed.
Well, we shall all be what?
Changed.
If you doing the will of the Most High, you gonna be changed. Right? So, you gotta die one day. Why not let it be today? Why not die to yourself today? You understand what I'm saying? That way you don't have to die that second day. You know what I mean? Get Romans 6 and verse 1. Last couple scriptures. Anybody scared to die? Let me be honest. I feel you. I feel you. Right? Romans 6 and 1.
Romans.
Right.
I mean, it ain't an easy thing.
It's not.
Yes.
This whole being over the fear of death don't come overnight. You understand what I'm saying? This comes with your walk. This comes with your acceptance of the word and the law. Because you can, like I said, you can say like, hey, I ain't scared of death. When you leave out here, somebody holds you at gunpoint, man, you get what I'm saying? You might be afraid. You feel what I'm saying? It comes with your building on this word. It comes with your building on keeping these laws and commandments. You feel what I'm saying? So we just gotta prepare ourselves for what's to come. The inevitable. Read.
Romans chapter 6 and verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
So, do you continue in your flesh? Do you continue following after your lust that you gonna have grace because you ain't getting put to death right now? Read.
Most High forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
If you dead to sin, how are you gonna live in it anymore? If you claim that you have this word, if you claim that you've been baptized, by the way, if anybody need to be baptized, let brothers know. How can you live anymore in sin? It's impossible. It's impossible. You cannot say, I'm walking with the Most High and His Son and be a sinner. It's impossible. Read.
Know ye not that so many of us were baptized unto Yahushua HaMashiach,
We was baptized unto Him, and what?
were baptized unto His death?
We was baptized into, we got to die. Read.
Therefore we are buried with Him by baptism into death.
When
That-
He rose, what rose? The spirit or the flesh? The spirit. When you come up out that water, you're supposed to come up spirit. That man, that old man got to die. Read.
That like as Hamashiach
Chapter 4, verse 20.
was raised from the dead by the esteem of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life.
In what?
In newness of life.
The newness of life.
For if we have been planted,
If we have been what?
if we have been planted,
He said his seed remains within himself. If you have been planted, don't you plant seeds? Right? Read.
together in the likeness of His death,
We shall also what?
we shall be also in the likeness of His resurrection,
Knowing this.
knowing this, that our old man is crucified with Him, that the body of sin might be destroyed.
That the body of what?
Sin might be destroyed.
How do Christians get around this? It's in the New Testament that the body of sin may be destroyed. We cannot get around this. If you claim that you have been baptized into the death of Hamashiach, you cannot sin. Read.
That henceforth we should not serve sin.
That we should not serve who?
Sin.
Flesh.
Sin.
Read.
For he that is dead
Is what?
For he that is
For
dead
he that is dead,
is freed from sin.
you freed from sin. Like my IB always used the comparison. If you feed in your flesh, your spirit gonna get weak. Right? So let's just say you lifting weights, right? You pumping up the flesh. You know what I'm saying? You're doing these things that are according to the flesh. When it come time for for them to come back to war against each other, who gonna win? The flesh, because he done got big on you. You know what I'm saying? He gonna punk the spirit. Don't say nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. Don't say nothing to him. Because it be your quote unquote conscience that be like, hey, don't go over there. Don't go to that party. Don't go in that house. Don't go mess with them people. But if the flesh puffed up and he punky, you better not say nothing. And instead of it being like, don't go over there, it's gonna be like, man, don't go over there. Man, somebody say something to me. Stay away from him. Ain't nobody talking. Your spirit gonna be in there. It's trying to scream out, but you done pumped your flesh up so much it's beating him down. But if you pump up that spirit, man, with this, that quote unquote consciousness, which is your spirit, that the Most High put to dwell in you, is gonna be like, yo, you go over there, you're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing good over there. Don't deal with them people. Yo, my man's is that's a stolen car. You know him. You know he steal cars. Do not get in the car with this man. You know what I'm saying? Which one you gonna work out? Read what you got.
Ephesians chapter 4,
Ephesians
verse
chapter
20.
6 and verse 10.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 20.
So don't take your eyes off the general. Right? Read.
But ye have not so learned Hamashiach. If so be that you have learned him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Hamashiach, that you put off concerning the former conversation the old man.
Oh man, you know back in the day, man, you know I used to knock him down. You know what ends up happening to that man? he ends up putting within himself all the stuff he used to do and start to think, do I still got it? I probably can. You know what? I'm gonna holler at this sister over here. You know what I'm saying? It starts to come up. Man, you know, when I used to boost cars, baby boy, I'm telling you, I ain't never got caught. What you used to do? Oh man, you know, I used to do this, do that. I can show you right now. Not even thinking it. You know what I'm saying? You got to put off the conversation of that old man. Let him die, man. He gone. Let him die. Whether it be in your marriage. How many of y'all been married for a long time? Been married for a long time? Long time? How many of y'all done had some real bad times? How many of you know that if you keep bringing up the bad times, you ain't gonna never get no good? Oh man, remember that time when you... That was 5 years ago. One more time. You got to leave the bad stuff alone. You gotta let that stuff go. You done persevered through it. Just like that old man, that life that you used to lead, you done persevered through it. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? I got a problem with Diamond doing that now. You said. Leave me alone. That was a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Right. Y'all said y'all wasn't gonna stay out to 2 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? But that's real. Put off that conversation of that old man. Read.
That you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt.
Which is what?
Corrupt.
I might have did that back in the day. I'm a changed man. I'm a whole different person. Read.
According to the deceitful lust.
According to the deceitful lust.
And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Read.
And that you put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true kodeshness.
Ephesians 6 and 10, because we still at war, right? 1 Corinthians, you get 1 Corinthians chapter 15. We're going to end it off with 1 Corinthians 15. Ephesians 6 and 10.
6 and 10. Finally, my brethren.
He said, finally, after all this hollering and screaming out of the finally, this is what we getting to. He said he gonna be an enemy to your enemies, but we done shown countless times that even though he gonna fight for you, even though he gonna fight with you, he can't fight for you. You gotta go in there and you gotta do this thing yourself in order for him to help. He not gonna lift his hand if you ain't gonna walk. He can't fight against an enemy that you not fighting. In order for Goliath to be slayed, somebody had to go scrap with him. Right? What was we talking about? Fear, right? Fear is one of the most small emotions that you have in your body, whether you believe it or not. But once you at your smallest point or your weakest point, that weak thing starts to magnify itself. You know what I'm saying? So we got to make sure that we strong at all times. He says, finally, brethren, what?
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the master and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High.
Soldier's supposed to put on armor, right? Bulletproof vest, you got your pistol on your side. You know what I'm saying? He said put on the whole armor. Read.
That ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
That you may be able to stand against the what?
The wiles of the devil.
You got to be able to stand up to it. Read.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world.
Against the rulers of what?
Darkness of this world.
So if you the light, darkness gonna always try to cover you up. Shaitan leading the charge. Read.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yahuwah.
Take the whole armor of Yahuwah.
That ye may be able to withstand in the evil day.
That you may be able to withstand in that evil day. Read.
And having done all, to stand. Stand, therefore, having your loins girt about with truth.
With what?
With truth.
What's truth? What's the truth? Hey man, listen. Give me Hebrews 2:1. That was too late. That was too late. Who said it though? Who said the law? I'm glad y'all be paying attention, man. We go over this every Shabbat.
I'll pray and teach though, so I ain't fair though.
I mean, he good though. He good. I'm talking about the brother back. You know what I'm saying? Brother over here. That was two. Hebrews 2:1. Read that.
Hebrews chapter 2.
I thought I was gonna be able to end on a good note.
Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 1.
Read.
Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed.
Give the what?
The more earnest heed.
Give the most earnest heed
to the things which we have heard.
to the things that we have what?
Heard.
Didn't y'all hear what the truth was before? Didn't we go and show that the truth was the law? Give an earnest heed to what you've heard. Read.
Lest at any time we should let them slip.
Lest at any time you what?
Should let them slip.
So if you done heard before that you're not supposed to murder, you don't stay in your word enough to remember it, and you go and murder somebody, what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna get killed. The Most High ain't gonna stand it. So we gotta understand that everything that we hear, everything that we being taught, we gotta take this stuff in, consider it, go over it, so we can know it for ourselves, right? We gotta do better, man. From the last time that I taught, and we spoke about you keeping the commandments, speaking about the commandments to your kids every day, how many people done done?
1.5% right there.
Come on, man. Hey, it's your salvation you playing with. I can only say it. I can only tell you. We supposed to be reading this law every day, especially your kids. Your kids is at school for how many hours out of the day? 8 hours out of the day, 6, 8 hours. That's a long time to be away from you. That's a lot of information that they taking in that can be for or contrary to what you're teaching. We gotta make a effort to keep these things in our mind, right? So let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 10. So we know you're supposed to have this armor on. Gird yourself up, right? In truth, in the law. What's our enemy? Sin and death. 1 Corinthians 15 and start at verse 10.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 10. But by the grace of the Most High, I am what I am.
Now he said, you know, it's probably what they was going to use to say this in the New Testament. He said, well, by the grace of the Most High, I am what I am. And his what?
And his grace, which was bestowed upon me, was not in vain.
He says that even though grace may abound, shall we still sin? Absolutely not. Right? Grace is a gift. Read.
But I labored.
But I what?
I labored.
I worked
more abundantly than they all.
So you got to understand. Just like if you ever played basketball, if you was working out, I was always told when I was younger, whenever you sleeping, somebody else working out. Somebody else trying to work harder than you to be the best. It's a race. Scriptures tell you it's a race. You got to make sure that you're doing this thing in the best of your ability because you don't know when the cutoff line going to be. Read.
Yet not I, but the grace of the Most High, which was with me.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach, and so ye believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a Mashiach be preached, that he rose from the dead, how the same among you that there is no resurrection of the dead?
Some people say it ain't no resurrection, right? Some people don't even believe in Mashiach. Read.
Verse 13. But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then is Hamashiach not risen?
He said, if it ain't no resurrection of the dead, then Hamashiach ain't risen. And what else?
And if Hamashiach be not risen, then is our preaching vain, and your faith is also vain.
And your what?
Your faith is also vain.
If your faith is vain, then it's what? It's sin. Read.
Yea, and we are found false witnesses of
Didn't
the
he
Most High.
say that you ain't supposed to bear no false witness? So if Hamashiach ain't risen, we all liars. Read.
Because we have testified of the Most High, that he raised up Hamashiach, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not.
Read verse 20.
Verse 20. But now is Hamashiach risen from the dead and become the first
And
fruits.
become the what?
The first fruits.
What's the next piece? If he has become the first fruits, then what do we got to produce on first fruits?
Good.
Read.
And become first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man come also the resurrection of the dead.
For in Adam,
For as in Adam all die,
even so.
even so in the Mashiach, so all be made alive.
Get verse 26.
Verse 26. The last enemy,
That what?
the last enemy,
Matter of fact, start at verse 25.
verse 25. For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet.
And the last enemy,
And the last enemy
your enemy,
that shall be destroyed
is what?
death.
Is death. So these things we ought to consider. Alright?
Preach, preacher.
With that, I say shalom.
Powerful.
Yes.
All praises to Yah. So Yahshua.
Any questions, comments, statements? You learned something?
No doubt.
I got comments, so I can see now why there'll be so many people that don't make it because according to all these things that he said sin, the majority of the people are committing every day.
Absolutely. And don't even consider it. That's the whole thing. We don't even consider it. At any time that you don't have faith in the Most High, let's just, he said, whatever is not of faith is sin. Right? So if you go and interview for a job, you're like, man, I know I might not get that. Do you have faith that you're going to get the job? Absolutely not. So if it's not a faith, then it's what? It's sin. You just put doubt. You just shorten the Most High's arm. I can get you whatever I want to get you. Just might not be your time for it. You know what I'm saying? I was discussing a couple days ago. If you got an affliction in your body, if you sick and you ain't healed yet, that don't mean he ain't gonna do it. Just might not be time for it. I might be trying to show you something. I might be trying to sit you down for something. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure that we have faith in the Most High in everything we do. Not some, but all things. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's right. We sin on a daily basis in different ways and don't even know. We think because we don't eat pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, and keep the Shabbat, and that's just it. That ain't it, man. It's 613 laws in this jungle. Some that apply, some that don't. But which ones are you keeping and which ones are you breaking? Which ones are you breaking and don't even know? You know what I'm saying? Gotta consider. Anybody else?
A lot of times we don't even understand that we become enemies of the Most High. We become His enemies when we don't keep His commandments. We don't follow after the Spirit. We become His enemies. When He becomes the enemy of our enemies, He become our enemy.
Absolutely. What they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But the friend to my enemy is my enemy.
This is going to back up. So about the faith thing. This also answers, I'd say a comment to your comment. This is Matthew 23 and 23.
Let me read.
It's just piggybacking on what the Ox said about the word faith.
Oh, yeah, I got you. The book of Matthew, Latit Yahu, chapter 23 and verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
So you see it. So there are other matters of the law that they wasn't doing. So they like they paid their tithes and stuff and these herbs, but the weightier matters, which he's about to show you, they did not do.
Judgment, mercy, and faith.
Faith. You talking about faith, right? So they didn't have no faith. Right?
These ought you have done, and not leave the other undone.
So let's just pick it back on the first thing.
Absolutely. They all go hand in hand. They all go hand in hand. So, just a little background. I have been studying. He had been putting this in my mind to do this lesson for a long time. But at the same time, he wasn't ready for it to be done yet. You get what I'm saying? It was certain things that I had to go through and experience and see in order for me to add certain things and look at this dynamic and that dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So you can apply that to your regular life. Like I was just saying, it might be things that he wants you to get to. But if it's not in your time, if he don't want it to be done yet, don't try to force the issue. You know what I'm saying? The law was made for our benefit, not for our destruction. Well, yeah, for your destruction too, if you ain't want to obey. But you got to make sure that you're doing everything the way he wants you to do it, how he wants you to do it. You know what I'm saying? And everything is going to reveal itself in its time. All right? Anything else? No? All right, y'all, let's get ready to pray out.
Shalom.
Yeah, we are.